That's real. Masculinity is not the opposite or the opposing force of femininity. It is the opposing force of being boyish and childish. Being a child, a little man child, a little boy. That's what the opposing side of true, authentic masculinity. That is a great take. I like that a lot. Because we as men, we should have some feminine energy, masculine energy. It's a balance. We're not just supposed to be walking around, trying to be over masculine all the time. Like that's not what it's all about.
Water, earth, fire, air.
Leaves from the vine.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode here on the Bridge Reacts, and I'm your host here on the channel, Marcus. Thanks so much for stopping by to see another episode here on the Bridge, where we talk about, long-lasting relationships, how to benefit ourselves so we can be better lovers, partners, friends, family, sisters and brothers, not in a weird way, being better parents, being better children. We can bridge the gap between the so we can have a strong community, stronger foundation for the culture, so we can pass it on to the next generation. If you like what we talk about here on the channel, please subscribe, like button, and notification bell as well. Welcome to the channel. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Today's video, we are talking about one of my favorite shows of all time, one of my favorite characters from one of my favorite shows of all time. Why Uncle Iroh is the pinnacle of masculinity. This is from Master Samwise YouTube channel. Please check out the original content creator, and I'll get straight to it. I'll leave my final thoughts at the very end of the video. If you haven't already seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, you are lost.
Integrity, loyalty, patience, authenticity, humility, humor, strength, wisdom, love. It's rare to find all of these qualities present in a single character in any story. It is rarer still to find them in a character who struggles, who suffers loss, who has to grow and change. Rarest of all might be finding such a character in a cartoon, a show targeted at and written for children, yet
Seriously.
still beloved by viewers of all ages for its heart, its incredible character arcs, and its meaningful storytelling. Uncle Iroh is an incredible example of masculinity because he exemplifies these essential virtues. To live out these virtues is to embrace full, authentic masculinity. Masculinity is not merely defined by being strong, confident, and assertive, but rather is well-rounded and balanced, understanding that there is far more to manhood than power and bravado. I should mention that masculinity is not the opposite of femininity, but rather it's the opposite of boyish immaturity. These traits and virtues that I've listed are...
Now that's a W take. That's real. Masculinity is not the opposite or the opposing force of femininity. It is the opposing force of being boyish and childish. Being a child, a little man child, a little boy. That's what the opposing side of true, authentic masculinity. That is a great take. I like that a lot. Because we as men, we should have some feminine energy, masculine energy. It's a balance. We're not just supposed to be walking around, trying to be over masculine all the time. Like that's not what it's all about. That is the common misconception, the red pill energy and all that BS, bro. Just let that die.
Are not unique to masculinity. Women living out these traits display authentic femininity. That's not to say masculinity and femininity are the same. Two instruments playing the same note will sound quite different. But I'm a man with a man's point of view, and Iroh is also a man, so masculinity is what I'm marginally well qualified to discuss. If this video does well, maybe I'll get my wife to write a counterpart video for Toph or Eowyn or Galadriel. This Galadriel.
I hope so.
Anyhow, now that we've got that clarification out of the way, let's examine how Iroh lives out his masculinity and what he can teach us about what it means to be a man. Having integrity, holding onto upright moral principles, is undoubtedly a necessary quality for any man. When faced with difficult decisions, do we stand fast and act according to our conscience, or do we fold under pressure? The show takes its time developing Iroh, slowly letting us learn more about him. At first, in addition to being his nephew's teacher, Iroh is presented as comic relief, a lighthearted counterpart to the overly serious and intense Zuko. Over time, Iroh's journey, his past is revealed, and we learn how his mistakes, failures, and loss shaped him to be the man he is now. A man of principle, a man who believes in the dignity of all peoples. However, he doesn't start out as that man. Even after all he has been through, Iroh is not yet fully developed. During the Siege of the North, Iroh, still the loyal Fire Nation general, advises Zhao on the best strategy to win the battle and conquer the Northern Water Tribe. It is not until Zhao reveals his plan to murder the moon spirit that we get a glimpse of Iroh's higher principles. Iroh may be loyal to the Fire Nation, but he's also dedicated to the good and balance of the whole world. Forced to choose between the two, Iroh chooses the greater good, marking himself a traitor and commencing the final stage of his interior journey.
And if it makes you a traitor going against, evil, even though your people, your community, whatever you originally stood for and you believed in is now moving in evil and evil acts and trying to destroy instead of build, then you're doing the right thing by going against that. Even if they, denounce you, they throw you away, you're dishonored and all that BS, bro, it doesn't matter. Do what's right. There is a right and wrong. We strongly believe that here on the bridge. There is a right and wrong.
Iroh's time in the Earth Kingdom during Book 2 evolves and solidifies his principles. By living among his former enemies, he develops a newly strengthened desire for equality and fair treatment. This comes to a head in the Crossroads of Destiny, where Iroh confronts Zuko as he moves to attack Aang, moves toward the honor and position he still desires. Iroh, at the end of Book 1, though he stood fast on other principles, likely would not have made this speech, but he has learned and grown beyond who he was then, and so he passionately pleads with Zuko, who joined Iroh on this journey throughout the Earth Kingdom, to adhere to the same ideals that Iroh now holds dear. Having integrity does not mean being completely rigid and inflexible. Integrity is not stubbornly clinging to ideas or values with no room for change. Rather, it is the ability, after having formed our principles, to not waver when they are challenged. Iroh may not always have been fully on the side of goodness and truth, but he undoubtedly always held fast to his beliefs and standards, regardless of the consequences.
He stood on 10 toes.
We do not merely have responsibilities to principles, but we are also accountable to the people in our lives, our loved ones, especially our children. Iroh serves as Zuko's mentor and guide, and cares for Zuko when no one else. He is not blind to Zuko's faults and shortcomings. Indeed, he may understand them better than anyone else. This is illustrated beautifully in The Storm, where Iroh describes the circumstances of Zuko's banishment to the ship's disgruntled crew. Where others are quick to dismiss Zuko as impulsive and reckless, which he most certainly is, Iroh knows Zuko's heart. He understands that Zuko is in need of growth and change, but also that he has suffered greatly and needs to be given time and space to become the man Iroh knows he can be. Iroh is loyal to Zuko.
And I think all of us as young men need to know that. Like, we need that room for growth, but we also need that figure, that role model, that positive, authentically masculine role model to be there at the sidelines in case we do need that help or that assistance. But we do need the freedom to grow and develop and make our own mistakes, get ourselves in some, shit, in some dark places at times. That makes us a better person, a better man, I think, personally. You can let me know in the comment section if you disagree.
He is true to him. That doesn't mean he supports every reckless action or rash word of the prince, but rather that he refuses to give up on his nephew. Loyalty is not blind obedience or acceptance. It is the adherence to one's duty to another. Even when Iroh and Zuko are torn apart by Zuko's betrayal, his uncle remains loyal. He continues to hope that Zuko can find his way again. Iroh does not abandon Zuko, does not count him as completely lost, but rather takes up his fight in the only way he now can. The time they spent in the Earth Kingdom, living amongst, working for, laughing and eating with the enemies of their nation was transformational for Iroh. As already mentioned, it allowed him to grow beyond his roots in the Fire Nation. But Zuko's metamorphosis was not complete, and it was reverted by the promise of having his former life restored. This convinces Iroh that there is nothing more he can do for Zuko, not directly anyway. After having received all the wisdom,
he has to let him find his own way. Look at the god bod Iroh's getting. The man was like working out in the cell by himself. He went from grandpa, uncle, dad bod to god bod. That's what they say in the Thor movie.
And guidance his uncle had to offer, Zuko must now find his own way, and it is Iroh's job to simply be there when Zuko comes back and to welcome him with open arms. But more on that later. Iroh's steadfast refusal to give up on Zuko shows us that loyalty is not a flighty thing to be given or taken away lightly. It is a conscious choice to stand by another, to support them and help them, because they need and deserve someone at their side. I can't think of a relationship that better exemplifies patience than that of Iroh's with Zuko. Patience is an essential part of Iroh's loyalty to Zuko. Despite his nephew's regular
Patience is love. Shout out to Jay. Jay on the channel. You taught me that.
Bursts, flare-ups, and explosions of temper, Iroh constantly remained a calming presence for the hot-headed prince. Having the patience to serenely deal with his decidedly impatient nephew is one of Iroh's defining qualities. King Bumi's advice applies beyond the limited scope of earthbending. As Iroh explains to Zuko in Bitter Work, each nation, each cadre of benders, can learn from the other elements and the other nations. The patience and steadiness of the Earth Kingdom's people is a quality that everyone should admire and strive to obtain. The ability to wait, to slow down, to calmly take your time and consider your options before acting is necessary for true, well-rounded masculinity. Charging at your problems head on may in fact be the solution, but only if all other possibilities have been considered and found less effective. It should never be done as an immediate gut instinct reaction. That sort of impulsiveness is a clear sign of immaturity. Consider Iroh's storyline during the Spirit World. When confronted by earthbenders, caught unawares and badly outnumbered, he does not immediately lash out and resist, as we can imagine Zuko would. Iroh endures captivity until he sees an opening, then acts decisively and ferociously. His patience and compliance put the earthbenders at ease, and Iroh is able to explore.
Just like Toph. Actually, Toph shows a lot of masculinity, I guess, too. As a little girl, and she showed a lot of masculinity or masculine traits, even though she was very feminine and ooey gooey in the middle inside. If you know the show, you know, but
Exploit their lack of caution and engineer an escape. Or take Iroh's initial meeting with Toph during the chase. Upon sensing his movement, Toph immediately attacks, showing her fear and unease at being on her own, her immaturity and lack of experience. Iroh wisely does not respond in kind, where so many, especially firebenders, might instinctually fight back, believing themselves to be in danger. Iroh takes time to read the situation and act in a disarming manner. He absolutely could have fought back with some justification, and that would have been a tool for the ages, but instead he lets events play out and soon learns that his attacker was no enemy, but rather a scared child in need of wise advice and a good cup of tea. Patience does not mean a lack of decisiveness, but rather an ability to judiciously decide when and how to act. To truly be a man, you have to be true to yourself, to who you really are. Men are not soulless robots capable of powering through any situation without changing so much as a facial expression or experiencing a single emotion, nor should they aspire to such stoic heights. Men should not only enjoy things deemed manly by whatever society they happen to live in, they should be able to enjoy a wide variety of things, from flowers to art to tea, and they should be able to appreciate.
even like samurais, like the most like, I can't think of the names honestly. Samurais, they loved like, I forget what kind of blossom, what kind of flower it was, but they loved stuff like that, like very light things that were, I guess, not deemed as traditionally masculine by society, but like the most ruthless killers and assassins, they had a light side to them as well. It's not always about being rugged and rough and super stoic, right?
The beauty, skill, or deliciousness inherent in all of those. Iroh is so beautifully, wonderfully authentic. There's no better example of his authenticity, of course, than his love of tea. I'm not suggesting that tea is widely seen as unmanly. It's quite common worldwide, and this also seems to apply to the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I'm an American, and we tend to have skewed perspectives about all things we perceive as British. Anyhow, I think we can agree that a deep love of, maybe even an obsession with, a beverage that can best be described as
Hot leaf juice!
is not something we would expect from a fire-breathing general of the nation that is taking over the known world. But
I mean, I like my own cup of hot leaf juice myself from time to time. Ain't nothing wrong with it, man.
that certainly doesn't stop Iroh from enjoying it to the fullest. Iroh's love of tea provides us with an example of the beauty of appreciation. There are so many good and beautiful things in this world and Iroh's that deserve to be appreciated. Being able to look at a flower or a cup of tea as more than their surface qualities and appreciate the intricate design or creative blend of flavors is a quality for which we should all strive. If we go through life only judging things based off a surface level view, we are not seeing their true natures, and thus our thoughts and opinions cannot truly be authentic. The time to really think about the world around him, seeing the beauties that hide from a casual glance, Iroh tells us about his own nature, how he is so much more than meets the eye. Iroh's love of tea also shows us the importance of mastery. When we truly appreciate something, we should strive to master it as best we can. Whether an art form, a job, or any other means of self-expression, diligent study and practice cuts through cheap tricks and quick wins, and allows us to display something true and authentic about ourselves. By mastering the art of tea,
Yeah, like instant gratification is also, I guess, boyish or childish. Like the end game, the long game of achieving success, achieving what you've been working and striving, sacrificing for, is what makes you, I guess, considerably a more authentic masculine figure, a man in a sense, right? Versus just trying to get the quick gratification and just do whatever you want all the time. Sometimes you got to sacrifice. Sometimes you got to wait. You got to be persistent, patience. I do agree on that.
Tea making, Iroh does not merely establish that he really likes tea, but also that he is a careful, patient, deliberate man who has spent years perfecting his craft. A man who can take the time to become a master, even in the making of
Hot leaf juice!
shows he is not afraid to pursue his true passions and demonstrates a willingness to learn that is translatable to any area of study. By daring to be the Fire Nation general with a passion for tea, Iroh teaches us the importance of defying molds, of rejecting the expectations of others when they run contrary to our true selves, no matter how others might view us. Humility is one of my favorite virtues to discuss, mostly because it's
I love that, man. One of the best qualities you can have as a person, not just a man, humility.
largely misunderstood. Being humble does not mean having a lowly view of oneself or disregarding one's positive traits. Having true humility means having an accurate view of yourself, having insight into your own strengths and weaknesses, your virtues and vices. To be humble, we have to reject bravado, overconfidence, and arrogance, yes, but at the same time, we must acknowledge our own abilities. In short, humility can be defined as having clear self-perception, having an untarnished view of yourself. We see Iroh's humility on full display during The Tale of Iroh, this short anthological segment of
the best part of any episode, I think, or the most touching. As a kid, I cried at that.
Happy birthday, my son. If only I could have helped you. Leaves from the vine, falling so slow, like fragile, tiny shells drifting in the foam. Little soldier boy, come marching home. Brave soldier boy comes marching home.
And he lost his son, and that's what made him, step down. I guess he was a Fire Lord at the time, technically. Or he was about to be the Fire Lord, whatever. Anyways, he stepped down, and that's when he went soul searching. He searched the world, he was learning new things and just trying to find himself because he lost the most precious thing to him, his son. And he felt as though it was part of his actions. He led his son to war. It's pretty deep.
Of the Tales of Ba Sing Se gives us wonderful insight into Iroh's character. Though he's a man of great botanical knowledge, he doesn't shame the shop owner for not knowing where to place the moonflower. Iroh imparts his knowledge in a genteel way, lacking any pride or derision. His humility allows him to share what he knows in a generous manner, with genuine care and love for the world around him.
It's real.
Or consider how Iroh handles the would-be mugger with the poor stance. If he were driven by pride, Iroh would notice the man's ineptitude and immediately act, only desiring to demonstrate his superior martial proficiency. Instead, Iroh takes the time to calmly and even sadly note the mugger's ludicrous stance. He does not deride the man, he does not mock him, he simply critiques his technique, or lack thereof, in a manner that shows how much Iroh cares about proper form and training.
Someone tries to rob you and you just disarm them and say, that was a terrible stance. Here, try this next time when you try to, rob somebody else. I'm gonna actually end this video here. There is another 11 minutes left, or 10 some change minutes left of the video. I highly encourage you to watch this. And if you haven't watched the anime, The Last Airbender, Avatar, you absolutely need to check it out. It is literally a classic, one of the best things I've seen on TV or any kind of media. Seriously, it's a very spiritual, very life lesson, type of show. It's not just, jokes and funny and just action packed and great scenes, great choreography with the characters and the animation, but just things you can learn from, you can take away with it. It's very spiritual, very down to earth, amazing show. 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. Let me stop glazing the show a little bit. I'll get straight to my final thoughts, and here's my final thoughts, right? when it comes to being a very authentic, real masculinity or real man in a sense. Again, I'm not the person who's sitting here in front of a camera, microphone, camera, and telling you what it is to be a man. I don't have all the ins and outs. I'm going through my own masculine journey, my own manhood journey at the age of 30. I just am very observant. I'm a very observant individual. I'm a very observant young man, right? And I know for a fact that boyish behavior, childish behavior isn't it. And this is the exact opposite of that. Showing humility, showing integrity, showing some level of being authentic. The other ones that we didn't get to in this video: wisdom, strength, humor. I don't know if humor is technically masculine. I mean, because women aren't funny. But I'm just saying that all those qualities right there for sure define what I believe to be more masculine, more towards manhood versus being boyish, boyhood. And those are the polar opposites. It's not femininity and masculinity. It's boyish and boyhood and manhood, being a man, right? And big shout out to the creators of the show. Big shout out to Uncle Iroh, R.I.P. He's in the spirit realm right now looking at us and probably subscribing, liking the video, just like you should. I really appreciate you for checking out the video. Tell me your final thoughts. Tell me what you believe when it comes to, true authentic masculinity, what it is to be masculine. What is the pinnacle of masculinity? If it's not Uncle Iroh, what is it? Show us in the comments. Let us know. And we really appreciate you for stopping by again. And please protect yourself, stay safe out there, and yeah, do the thing, right? See you.